that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Interest said is going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is suit business landscape.
Hello and welcome to your regular programming. Welcome to that beautiful Monday that starts this week, and this is SBL. My name is Chooks, John Rogers Chooks, and you are watching Souk News. So wherever you are, be it in Nigeria, any part of Africa, or somewhere in the globe, just go straight to your social media handles. Go to any of them and follow us. Let's communicate as we start this particular program for today. Today we'll get to the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Something good has been happening in the last 11 weeks. You heard me right. And some beautiful performance has been happening. A dance somehow is taking place in a particular sector that we are asking questions, and they are doing us real proud. So you should stick and know what we are going to talk about and be part of it. Then we also get to what's happening with sugar. Trump is always in the news, but we won't get there today. But we have a full table of buffet for you. Just come in and serve yourself. I'm not here alone, and I'm pleased to announce that this beautiful week that Niamey has also told us that rains are coming. The men that make things happen are here. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome on SBL for today, starting the week, the Oracle himself. Doc, welcome on the show.
Choose good morning. Good morning, Olumide. Good Nigeria. Today is another very interesting moment, and we're trusting God that we will make more money.
Amen. Olumide.
Good morning, I'm Olumide Shokoya. Welcome to another beautiful week. Let's talk business, economy, and development. Good morning, Doctor. Good morning, Chooks.
Let's talk business, economy, and development. Let's break it down. Let's talk money. We're going on a very short break. When we return, we'll take you straight to where things are happening. Don't go anywhere.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Interest said is going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is suit business landscape.
We make bold to tell you that the Nigerian stock have extended the rally for a straight 11 weeks. That is good news. The Nigerian equity market closed the week of August 8, 2025 on a bullish run, gaining for the 11th consecutive week. The all-share index climbed 4,491.86 points to 145,754.91, up 3.18% from the prior week's 141,263.05. Market capitalization rose to 92.2 trillion from 89.37 trillion, edging closer to the 100 trillion milestone. The surge was driven mainly by a 41% jump on the Nigerian insurance index. Now, this is the side I had to take a breath because a whole lot of people are going to be so shocked with what happened the last 2 weeks. With mutual benefit assurance, AII Coders, IOCO Insurance, and Royal Exchange among the top gainers. Trading volume sparked by 7.7 billion shares, reflecting heightened investor activity. Sector performance was mixed. Industrial goods gained 8.73% on strong cement stocks. Consumer goods rose 8.27%, while banking slipped 0.75% on profit taking. Market breadth was positive with 66 gainers against 41 losers. Notable losers included Leave & Trust Mortgage Bank. They lost 24.13%. Academy Press, 18.18%, and Dangote Sugar 10.05%. Now, analysts expect the bullish momentum to continue in the short term, but caution that mild corrections may occur if selling pressure builds in large cap stocks. Dear Doc, now let's ask ourselves, what happened to the insurance sector in the last 2 weeks? They just defied all odds.
Well, I think a lot of people have been waiting for some relevant reforms in that sector, and don't forget that just the last month that passed, the Act was passed and assented to, and so we should become operational. And of course, that gives a lot of confidence to market practitioners to see that government is opening the doorway for insurance to be one of the real driver of the market. And so this, of course, can boost the confidence of investors.
Boost the confidence of investors. Now, let me get to you. Do you have any insurance stock? Because as of last week, some particular insurance stock rose by 58%.
Yes.
58%. I feel like shouting.
Well, sadly, I'm still trying to go into the stock market and study it well. But you know, studying it well is what matters. And just like the analyst said, there will be some mild corrections in the near future. But I like the fact that the insurance company are doing well. I like, yes, the banks are, they are not really, they went down and all that. But most of the time, we've seen whereby it's the bank that is always doing well, is always doing well. Now, I think it's refreshing, and just like Doc said, to boost investors' confidence to see this insurance company doing well. The industrial sector is also, doing well. So I think with the mild correction, major thing is that more people should invest. That's the major thing, so that we have a level playing ground.
More people should invest. Now, Doc, you talked about the Insurance Act that was signed into law. Beautiful. Now, we now get to see even some particular insurance companies that they were in the market, but they were a bit quiet. People are putting money into all these places. Are we looking forward to seeing insurance playing the very role it should be playing in the economy with this more money coming into the companies?
Well, I think so, and I think with the Act, because there are a whole lot of things that has affected the insurance sector for several years here in Nigeria. The fact that the trust level was very low. Because of the trust level, people seem not to even understand what the insurance are. They cannot believe that premium paid, of course, can result in claims. So these are issues that a lot of people needed to deal with. And because of the regulatory environment too, that was not as stiff and strong, that people are thinking that, yeah, if I give money to somebody and are they having enough energy to be able to regulate that environment and make it as productive as it should be. Now, all these things have affected the insurance practice vis-a-vis our very religious stance, where, of course, God is our senior insurer. And the people are thinking that if you put money on insurance, it's like a bad prayer. So these are the issues that we have to confront. But I think the insurance also need to do a lot. People need to see that claims are easier to make. People are encouraged to see that there are testimonials of things that are happening. And they are also able to reach out and do a lot in terms of mass mobilization, right communication, so that people understand that it's not just about wishing yourself bad luck, but it's like saving for the rainy day. So that's what insurance should look like. And I think if insurance take its rightful place in our environment, all the social issues that we talk about, to a very large extent, will be taken care of. But most importantly, and that's been my advocacy, that rather than government throwing money on what we call social schemes and benefits of traditional cash transfer, I wish that it is possible, for example, government procure insurance for all senior citizens. There are not too many. Just health insurance. that if they have ailments or saying they can get to the hospital and they be treated based on the insurance package that they have. So if that happens, that reduces a whole lot of burden even for the working class, because the money that you would have been spending taking care of your aged parent, of course, government would have taken that off your bill. And of course, you can see that the wheel of the economy will be oiled. In that way, you see really tangible investments from government into the insurance company, making capitalization bigger, and they are able to actually carry the weight of burden of losses that may be suffered in the course of transactions.
You just said the particular line now, and just you ran over it. Now, in the last market that closed on the 8th, the top 7 gainers for the first time in the stock exchange were all insurance companies. If we go by the way of recapitalizing, what do you see the market in NGX for insurance stocks? What is it likely going to look like?
Well, of course, there's already a market cap for insurance as of today. The minimum threshold that you can, if you're entering into the insurance market or even doing depending on the categories that you're going, whether it's micro insurance or the major insurance or broking insurance, the law aspect really stipulates what you need to have. But I think if you're also given the high risk level in an environment, I think the insurance need more capitalization, even as capitalized as the banking sector, because it's important, because once there are issues, especially tough-for-them natural disasters, huge accidents, the insurance sector is the worst hit. So ability to be able to meet up with claims had to be consistently supported. And that is why you see when there are major issues or disaster, take for example in the COVID-19, where you see Western governments intervened much was in the insurance sector because they were the worst hit than another sector. So the need for the capitalization of the insurance is something that I feel that we have to take very seriously. If everybody starts to participate, which means the more claims that are made, the lesser the capacity given the current capitalization of the insurance company to be able to meet up with those claims and demands. So this will require them to go back again into the market, the open market, whether to raise money, whether by public offers or even private placements.
Okay, Doc has talked about public offers. He just opens up and just drops bombs out there. This is business. This is economy that wants to grow $1 trillion economy. And now we are seeing a sector that is rising up to it. Well, last week was an eye-opener. Now, he's talked about building trust. How can we build trust? That is one, in this particular sector. How can we get more people to invest in this particular sector?
Well, Doc made mention of something. He said people going into insurance is like, he made mention of, is it bad investment or bad something?
No, I call it bad prayer.
Bad prayer. Generally, if you go around and ask 10 Nigerians, what do you think about insurance? I think most people do more of car insurance and health insurance. That's, if you talk
car
about...
insurance is by force?
Yes, by law. And health
it's even the third party, not even comprehensive.
And health insurance.
Not many people have comprehensive.
Just to keep it going.
Yes, because you'll be arrested if you don't have the third party.
Thank you. And health insurance, those who are in a nuclear family or those who are working and it's made compulsory by the office, that's where it stopped. So I think, first of all, the insurance company, they need to do a bit of probably rebranding, get into the market, get into the economy, try and sensitize people the benefits of insurance, because a lot of people see it as just wasteful spending. I have to pay a certain amount of money to a particular company that I might not need or I might need, so it's 50-50. Do you understand? So those are the things that the insurance company need to look into. How can they, boost people's confidence back to, coming into insurance. It's a whole lot of things, but well, Nigerians, we like short-term, things, anything that would either short-term profit or short-term gain, and we don't think about the future. We always want it now. So that's the gap that we need to bridge.
There are several investment vehicles within insurance companies.
Yes.
Let's also talk to that. How do they get to educate people and get people to really commit into those kind of investments?
I think what they can do also, if they can partner with the federal government, if they can partner with state government, and come up with some sort of initiative or programs that would drive, maybe sponsor some certain things, so they get to educate people. You could sponsor probably a health program, or for instance, you could sponsor a health center. Yes, that's what I'm going to. A health center, buy some certain equipment.
Yeah, but you see,
open up something.
They already have these products. Just for Olumide, you can start to actually do an insurance for your children's education.
But how many people believe that?
No, it's not about belief. It's you knowing. That what you mean now, I'm not married yet, for example, and now I'm thinking I'm going to have 2 kids for married, and I'm going to buy an insurance for them for their education. So while I'm making earnings as a young man, I'm paying premium for them. 10 years down the road, the kids are come and they're in school. I really don't bother how their school fees will be paid, because the insurance will write it off. And that takes a lot of burden off you into the future. These are the things that we, as a nation, actually need to key into. Because it's a kind of an investment.
Yes.
That you need to do, say, okay, for your children. Even right now, there's even in the market that you can also determine the kind of funeral you get when you are no longer here. You can buy your insurance. And what that means is that if you are no longer here, you don't really need to put pressure on anybody
to have a funeral.
To have a befitting funeral. The insurance right of the bills. So all these products are in the market. And that's why I talk about the right communication. Because what people are thinking about insurance is only disaster. But the safety nets that are within the insurance is not communicated. So if people begin to understand that it's not just about what you're going to do, maybe your car is going to have accident, or fire is going to burn your house, that you can actually put insurance on yourself, put insurance on your kids.
Yes.
So you will see that the level of participation can get better. But what we have right now is that people are thinking that insurance is only related to disaster. But I don't think that is all that it's all about. Yes. And I think people need to be properly educated. And I think maybe you have an insurer or a stakeholder speak to these issues this morning. A lot of Nigerians will be enlightened and understand how to put their money to safeguard their future.
How to put your money and safeguard your future. You heard that right from the oracle's mouth. Now, let's say congratulations to all the insurance firms out there. You owe us a duty to go out there and let's know what investment, what services you offer. It's a public service announcement. Come to Souk News. We'll blow it all out. Once again, congratulations. Let's go straight to our second story.
Before you go to your second story, because we have really done that market analysis, and I think, yes, generally the stock market, there's some rises. We see some growth, but it's still a very weak market compared to the biggest economy in Africa. When you look at Nigerian stock market, vis-a-vis, for example, South Africa, you see that though the gains in South Africa is low, but if you look at the gap in the South African market compared to Nigeria, the gap is crazy.
They have more players than we do here.
Yeah, but of course, yes, why the players are there, we have the population.
We have the population, but they have more players. It still goes down to what you're talking about, orientation.
No, yes. Yeah, no, that is the point. How do we also broaden the scope? that we are even more blessed than South Africa in terms of resource. So if they have a market cap of $1.2 trillion, just the market, the stock market alone, ours is about $70 billion. You can see the difference. Whereas you have in South Africa over 400 companies are listed in their market. In Nigeria, you have less than 150 companies listed. So there's still a lot that we need to do with even our market, because the capital market is also very critical to the size of your economy. How do we broaden that scope and that space? So that, number one, we have a lot of company onboarding, and two, we also have that there are subscription. Because we find that there's a lot of companies that are not in the market.
Then also, a lot of those that are in the market are holding on. They're not opening up to their shares being bought openly.
So these are the issues that, of course, are of concern, really. That you have a South African market that's big and bigger than what we can, and even the Egyptian market is bigger than us in terms of market capitalization. And that's quite really worrisome. And as giant of Africa, and I'm saying that we have the potential of having a market that's even up to $2 trillion if the right things are done. So the reform in that market, though is ongoing, I think there's a lot that still needs to be done to bring credibility to the stock markets in Nigeria, I guess.
Credibility and numbers. That's a whole lot of, that's a full topic for a full day. I want to say thank you very much. Now let's get to what's happening in the capital importation now. This is FDI news now into Nigeria. Now FDI into Nigeria plunged 70% in Q1, quarter one. Foreign direct investment into Nigeria fell sharply by 70.06 in the first quarter of 2025, dropping to $126.29 million from $421.88 million in the previous quarter. According to new data from National Bureau of Statistics, the slump came despite a rise in total capital importation as foreign investors poured money into short-term high-yield instruments such as government bonds and treasury bills, while shunning long-term commitments in the real economy. By contrast, total capital inflow rose by $5.64 billion, up from $5.09 billion in the previous quarter and $3.38 billion a year earlier, with over 90% going into money market instruments. Economics say such speculative inflow can exit quickly and do little to boost industrial growth or job creation. The manufacturing sector saw capital inflow shrink 32.31% year-on-year to $129.92 million in Q1, reflecting persistent investor caution after multinational exited Nigeria in 2023 to 2024 amid tough reforms. Dear Doc, are investors see Nigeria as a quick drop your money, make your gains and run?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. The problem we have is the over-politicization of our environment. And it's scary. Now, why do I say so? The government came, this current regime, with some very bold reforms that, of course, will boost investors' confidence and to see that this nation is driving in the right directions. So people need to want to put money. Now, the stability of the government is something that we'll have to be looking at. And you see that in very early period of the first term of these reforms, the high stake of politicking will make anybody to be skeptical of your market. When you're seeing all this drum everywhere, we want to remove this person. And you're seeing gang up everywhere. We want this guy to go. Now someone is thinking, if this guy is not there in 2027, with the new guy able to sustain this reform that is started? So if I put my money there, I am endangering my investment, and that's high risk. And so it makes a lot of business sense to invest in the short term while you are watching to see the coast, whether it becomes clearer or better. So this is the reality of the Nigerian political environment, where we do politics with a whole lot of bitter energy, and you go to social media and see the way people are talking, and then you're almost thinking that the outcome of the 2027 election is almost guaranteed. So this is because it's the politics that will determine eventually how your economy will be. Now, when people are thinking that, really it doesn't matter, but it does matter to an investor who is thinking, what if this regime is not there tomorrow? Will the next regime continue in this trajectory of positive reforms? Or will they go back to where we are coming from? You see, this has happened before, because when you take the history of Nigeria, this has always been the trend. When the Obasanjo regime came in 1999, and they started the whole arrangement around privatization, because Obasanjo came to a conclusion, which was, of course, based on his experience as military leader, especially with the Shipping Council, where he left over 20 ships, and by the time he was coming back in 1999, Nigeria has virtually no ship. The airline was gone, nighttime was gone. There was nothing working. All government, so the government being able to do business was something that was very close to the heart of us at that time. And so we started those privatization endeavor, even including privatizing in 2006 our refineries. But what happened when Yar'Adua came?
He bought them back.
He brought them back. So you saw this reform policy backtracked. And that's where we are today. So these are the challenge that people are looking at. That when you have too high stake politicking, where people are only desperate about the state capture and really not too much concerned about what the economy is doing, then of course you find that those who are not of even your children who has money that they are abroad, they'll be afraid to bring money into the economy because they cannot see some sense of stability in the things that are happening in the environment. I think those are the issues.
Major issues, I must say. Sense of stability. Now, we want to believe that government should be a continuum, which means if we are going positively on a particular scale, we should continue.
Yes.
Now, coming from what Doc have said, that makes a whole lot of, we've seen the examples over and over again, and we've seen businesses go down based on this.
The country.
Are we likely going to see a better outcome, better ratio in the second and third quarter?
Yes, I believe with the reforms that is going on right now, we should see a whole lot. It's just give it time. Let's give this reform time. Nigerians, we are so quick when we hear a particular reform come and be like, no. But let's give it time. There are a whole lot of reforms that are going on. So that's why even we as journalists, we need to be very careful when we analyze these things, because there are a whole lot of reforms that are going on, and some are doing well. But because it's not projected well in the media, people just feel that this government, they are not doing anything at all. So I believe that it's just a matter of time. And like Doc said, government continuum. One of the things I like about Lagos State is they have a plan. And we've seen different governments come in and still follow that plan through. If we can do that at the federal level, I think that would also boost investor confidence to bring more foreign direct investment. So it just has to do with good reforms that will, long-term reforms. We could have reforms that could even transcend into another administration. Not just a particular, but because a situation, we see situations whereby one particular administration comes and all the projects, reforms that was done by the initial administration, they are put on hold and they start its own.
Who does that? Okay, Doc, let's shake some tables a little bit. Now, while we seek foreign direct investment, is good. We want them to come invest in profitable ventures here, is good. What about monies that leave Africa, monies that leave Nigeria? What exactly is the sense in going to stack monies outside Nigeria for just no reasons? We see that happen a lot. Some have been repatriated, but we still see that happen a lot in Africa. Why can't those particular monies be invested somewhere in Africa?
Well, again, it still goes back to the politics of instability, where people are not too sure that what's going to happen to my investment, where people can not even trust your legal system to deliver justice in good time. You see, I can wake up with a trump-up charge and say, oh, Chooks, you're a thief, and I'm freezing your assets. And I'm not sure whether the court system is going to grant you justice, especially if you have to deal with maybe an agency of government. And so chances are that if you are politically different, you may not be too confident of getting justice from your judicial service. So it is easier for me to get to a place where even if there are issues, I know that the rule will not be bent to favor anybody, and I'm going to get justice. It's as simple as that. So what you're seeing is that people are thinking, and you have a court case, for example, in Nigeria, and you will need to stay in court, from High Court to Court of Appeal, then to Supreme Court. And if it's an election year, of course, you know you have to spend additional 2 years because nobody's going to look at your economic issues. The matter that will be of urgent importance are elections matters, whether at the lower court or the appellate court or even at the Supreme Court. So people are going to be working and say, okay, I need to wait for another 2 years before I can get justice. So these are the issues where we have not really, as Baron de Montesquieu had defined, the judicial arm of government, the legislative arm of government, the executive arm of government, and not really distinctly separate or autonomous. Let me not use the word independent, because you're supposed to be interdependent. But you see, the actions of the executive affect both the legislature and the judiciary. And so that sense of justice is a kind of a booster for even an investor, whether it's a local investor or a domestic investor. And this guy is sure that he can't wake up overnight and somebody has changed the rule of the game. So it still boils down to a political maturity, that if we are not politically well-formed, the level of trust in governing institutions will be weak. And let's not go into this other side of the conversation in the area of the fragility of the Nigerian state, where you're seeing that non-state actors seems to be more powerful than the state. In those days, we used to say, so nobody can fight the government. But we find that government is having difficulties, even in fighting non-state actors. I was shocked, I think it was last week while we were at the training, and somebody was mentioning that Boko Haram in a year collects taxes in Nigeria of between $60 billion to $200 million from Nigerians.
Taxes.
Taxes, yes. So If they can take that quantum of money annually from us, now imagine those areas where they are and who want to put investment in there. So people always take their money to safe haven. If you follow the development in Singapore, for example, when Lee Kuan Yew came into office in 1959, one of the things that he thought to himself to do was the fact that I need to create a Singapore that was safe for foreign capital. So I need to create that ecosystem. And he deliberately created an ecosystem to make Singapore the financial capital of the world, to a little island. And so you see, he created stability. And for 33 years, he was able to maintain that system. And even when he left office in 1991, he had to oversee the new regime up to the point he died. So what that means is that people are looking at your system, they can see the level of stability, and they can bring money to your system. If you go to the UAE, it's the same model. Even people in Europe and America are bringing money to the UAE because they know that regime is as constant as not and start. They know the things that are possible to change. So once you don't have stability within your system, even your local investors will be frightened.
Once you don't have stability in your system, even your local investors will be frightened. We've got a very short break. And when we return, we'll tell you our next story. But remember, go to the social media platform. Souk News Television. Look for us. We are right there in your face. Follow us. We'll follow you back. Say hi. We'll wave at you. Don't go anywhere. Souk Business Landscape will be right back.
Because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, you know, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff? Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souk Business Landscape.
Welcome to Femi Walsh Limited, owners of Souk TV Lagos, Our Radio Lagos, Kaswa Radio Kano, and of course Emirates TV Abuja and Dubai. Our niche market for media is business, economy, and development. At Femi Walsh, we promote your company's products and services using our world-class facilities. From Our Radio to Souk TV, what you get is nothing but the best of the very best.
And if you're looking for the premium production firm for your events and corporate coverage, think no further, because we offer you the best of industry stuff.
With high-definition cameras ranging from 4K to 8K multicam setups, high-directional microphones, and real-time streaming encoders, we give you a production like none other. And if you're looking to produce podcasts, adverts, and documentaries, our team of experts will ensure that you convey your message clearly and professionally. Femi Walsh, Global Vision, Local Impact.
Growing interest in Nigeria's lithium reserves comes as countries worldwide scramble to secure supplies of the mineral which is essential for powering the green energy revolution. In this special report by Bayo Olaoye, the need to harness this resource for growth and development is examined with the evolution of electric vehicles and renewable energy storage systems. Lithium is a key component in the production of batteries for electric vehicles and renewable energy storage systems, and Nigeria is positioning itself to become a major player in the global lithium market. Nigeria's vast lithium reserves, valued over $34 billion, is no doubt attracting world attention, while lithium factories are springing up in different parts of Nigeria already. The attention of the international mining industry is also focused on lithium because it is critical raw material for the production of solar panels and electric vehicles. Analysts predict that global lithium market could grow robustly over the next decade, driven by the rapid adoption of electric vehicles and renewable energy technologies. Data from a global future market insight showed that the lithium mining industry has emerged as a cornerstone of the clean energy transition, driven by the skyrocketing demand for lithium-ion batteries. The surge in lithium demand is driven largely by the electric vehicles market, which accounted for over 70% of the global lithium consumption in 2024, according to an Iranian-based research firm. With countries such as the United States, China, and members of the European Union pushing for next zero emission by mid-century, lithium demand is expected to escalate further. The federal government, indeed, the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development, should intensify efforts geared at renewing and resuscitating the viable lithium industry in the country to its full potential. As Nigeria diversifies its economy into other sectors, the lithium industry offers hope and expectation that this sector would earn more revenue for the country. Nigeria should not just watch with folded arms, but must strive with the political will to develop and strengthen the country's vast lithium reserves.
To first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, you know, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Suk business landscape. Welcome back. This is Suk business landscape. We'll go straight to our next story for today, and it has to do with aviation. Yes, the gateway into the country, one of the major pillars of our economy. Now, the planned strike by aviation unions. The planned strike by aviation unions scheduled to begin on Monday, which is supposed to be today, August 11th, has been suspended following the intervention of the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo. In a statement via his official X account on Sunday, Keyamo confirmed that the strike earlier announced by the National Union of Air Transport Employees, Air Transport Service Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, Association of Nigerian Aviation Professionals, and the Amalgamated Union of Public Corporations was called off after positive developments emerged. He credited his long-standing relationship with labor leaders for helping secure the breakthrough. The unions, which had initially planned the strike over demands for improved remuneration, cited the release of a no-objection letter from the Budget Office to the National Incomes, Salaries and Wages Commission, and a commitment from the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency to implement new pay with August salaries as reasons for the suspension. Okay, we are back on this table. Dear Doc, at what point are we going to stop seeing these major sectors have issues to really make us wonder if really we think things through before going this route?
Well, I think it's a big problem. It also boils down to the quality of public administration in our country, and it seems to be very weak. When you have a weak public administration, it's difficult for you to actually overcome some of these teaching problem and issues. I presume where you have issues that have to do with salary increments, allowances, these things have to be factored into the budget. So it begins with a new year, and not in the middle of the year. So when they are preparing their budget, these agencies, why are these things not factored inside? Based on the earnings that are coming, where improvements needs to happen. Once we get to the middle of the year and somebody now says, oh, I want to go on strike, you just remembered?
Yeah, but what they were preparing those particular budgets, I think is, well, like you said, is administration.
Yeah, because everybody really
should make a submission.
should be able to make an input. Mm-hmm. Because what Festus is saying is that he inherited some of his liabilities. So at least it's good that, of course, BPP is able to give a budget office a letter of no objection, which for me is not really necessary, because we just abuse processes. What that means is that you are saying, okay, well, you have an emergency. I don't think the wages of workers should be an emergency. We should have a systematic way of determining wages. Last week, I still advocated here on this table. Why can't public service wages be tied to consumer price index? That as the indexes increases or decreases,
the wages
it reflects on the wage and the take home. And by that, you are able to actually get out of that circle of industrial disputes. It's a big problem for me. I think I've not been able to wrap my head around it, because I've always had this. I think I remember I was having a conversation with one of very top labor leader, and we're in a conference and we're having this conversation. I said, why are you always going on strike? Without also putting into account the indices. Why the law protects workers really to say, okay, you have to be paid. But don't you also believe that workers should be paid based on the earning of the states? What's your productivity level? So if you are making more money and the state is not paying you, it's understandable. So we should run the state like a business. So where your salaries are tied to your performance. So we know that you are raising value for the state, and you are making so much money for the state. And from what you're creating, state is able to give you more salary. And I was told by the answer he gave to me, and he said we have so many public assets that if we sell it, it will be able to meet this bill. And I asked him, how many times are you going to sell the asset? If we sell the asset this year to pay what you are asking for, what we will sell next year?
To pay you.
So sometimes we need to create this level of balance. But I believe that we need a very strong public service where experts are the helms of affairs, so that you look at work productivity, and you're also looking at the level of satisfaction of your employees, and see when it's appropriate to adjust their remuneration to be able to cope with the emerging economic situations. By that, we wouldn't have labor disputes or people having to down to. But unfortunately, we live in an environment where only violence seems to be the language that is commonly understood. That until people are thinking of down tools, we're not thinking about working into what their welfare will look like in few years. from where we are.
Okay. Olumide, let me get to you now. We look at the aviation industry. That particular sector, it's key to development. It's key not just to revenue drive, but if we say we want foreign direct investment, how are they going to get here? If they are looking at that particular place and things are not in order. Do you see industrial dispute as a key to resolving issues in that particular sector?
Yes, I do. I really do, because Doc was just talking about merging the consumer price index with what the person takes home. I'm also looking at, what about our senior citizens? Do you make provisions for them? Because if you look at the aviation sector, I mean, let's all be frank, the aviation sector right now has been on the spotlight with though controversial issues and all that. But I think this is now when we need to really look at the reforming that particular sector. Definitely, anything that has to do with remuneration is included in the budget. So is it that it's always overlooked? Is it that we have to always go on strike, then we give threats about going on strike, then someone comes in and intervenes and all that? Is it that we don't just always think about this? Next year's budget, what is in it for the aviation sector? Are there going to be any remuneration, or it's just going to be same business as usual? So these are the things we need to look at. We need, yes, Festus Keyamo is trying. He's trying to reform that place. He's doing a whole lot. But we need to see more of it. And I think there's this, how will I put it? Maybe is it miscommunication? No, there's this gap between the unions and the authorities.
Gap between the unions and the authorities.
Yes.
Okay, something is just coming to my head. It might not make sense. But now let's look at the 700 and something million budget for infrastructure development. Are the workers looking and saying, okay, if infrastructure can take this, what about us?
That's how it is.
Yeah, but you see, I think a lot of people are just very myopic. Probably people are not well traveled. And because they are not traveled, it is difficult for them to actually comprehend what an airport should look like. They need to get to Qatar, get to Turkey, international airports, get to maybe Dubai International Airport. So you can have a semblance of what an airport is looking like. We don't have airport in Nigeria. And when I hear people making those arguments, it's quite very frustrating. But are we thinking progressively at all? Because the gateway to your city is your airport, how it looks. I have cause to wonder when you arrive into Murtala Mohammed International Airport, that even we who are coming back and say, we're back to darkness.
That was before.
It's not before.
That was before.
So people are looking, I'm telling you, it's not before.
It still
I use
happens.
the airports.
It still happens.
That was before.
I use the airports.
Doc says it still happens.
So I use the airport, I cannot tell you. Anybody who's coming in, that's what I will tell you.
Yes,
you can see the difference between light and darkness.
Yes, there is difference, but we've moved from...
We have not moved.
How bad it used to be.
We have not moved at all. We have not. I'm telling you very sincerely. And that's why I wondered, I said, how do we think really? From the UAE airport alone, annually, over $2 billion.
Generated in revenue.
Dollars in revenue. And we're having an airport that is not able to produce 100 million naira annually. And people are talking about why would that won't put money in that place. If you don't invest, you don't get a return. The law of harvest is you reap where you sow. If you sow sparingly, you reap sparingly. If you sow bountifully, you reap also bountifully. So where people are sowing sparingly and they want to reap bountifully, don't go away the tips.
Okay. So you heard it. you really heard it. So for everyone out there, we are not in support of bad pay. At the same time, we're not in support of disruption of services. So there must be a balance. And for the Minister of Aviation, hey, if you sow sparingly, you will reap sparingly. Now let's get to our next story. India oil demand to increase Nigerian exports. For those that have been wondering what's happening in the US, is taking less of our oil. Calm down. Nigeria's crude oil exports are set to grow in September and October as Indian refineries turn to non-Russian suppliers. India's two biggest state-run refineries have bought at least 22 million barrels for delivery within the 2 months, including 2 million barrels from Nigeria. The shift comes after US pressure led India to cut back on Russia's oil purchases, with additional cargoes coming from the US, Brazil, Angola, Libya, and the UAE. These combined purchases represent about 6% of India's mostly crude processing. The change is partly due to cheaper shipping costs for oil from the Atlantic region to Asia. For Nigeria, the new demand offers a chance to boost market shares and potentially earn higher revenue as competition from Russia oil ceases. Okay, Olumide, I'm coming over to you. This is is good news for Nigeria. We have more customers. We will call it in Nigeria customer day. We have customers to sell oil to. That means we need to look for how to output more. But also, let's also look at the fact that is India following the threat that's coming from the US to buy less from Russia?
Well, I think that's left for India to decide. I think that's left for India to decide. What matters is, are they willing to buy from us? If they are willing to buy from us, if they want to buy from us,
they are buying from us.
They are buying from us.
There's a 2 million barrels penned down already.
Then, if we can increase more of that and bring in more, dollars into the economy, I mean, it's a win-win for all.
It's a win-win for all. Okay. Now, Doc, let me come to you. Now, when these particular sanctions came, the US decided to double their tariff on India, thanks to Russian oil. Russia came and said India is an independent state. You can't tell them where to buy or where to sell from. But right now, we are seeing some changes happening. What exactly will you say? If you're on Russian side, will you say India was happening, or India, are they buying something underneath? Are there under G moves happening somewhere?
Well, I think it's, that's what international diplomacy is all about. It's all about negotiation, renegotiation, and counter-negotiations. What is happening is, yes, of course, America has slammed a very huge tariff on India. And the Indians know that the American economy is also crucial to their survival. And Modi is not willing to pay that huge price. Because while the nation enter into alliances, they enter into alliances for their domestic prosperity. So you're looking at what we are taking to Russia and what we are selling to America, and looking at the size of your trade, and that's going to affect your balance of trade and your balance of payment. And so you are likely to stay where your balance of payment and trade surpluses are better off. And so these are the conversations, because in politics, really, nothing is cast in stone. So they say there are no permanent friends and there are no permanent enemy. What is permanent is interest. So whether it's domestic politics or international politics, interest is what is at play. So you have to look at where your interest is, and then, of course, you take advantage of it. And I think this is what Nigeria really needs to leverage on. This is our opportunity as the geopolitics heats up. You see, some people will be losers, some people will be gainers. We must position ourselves to be gainers. Right now, if, of course, India is not taking crude from Russia, of course, our markets are available. And thank God that, of course, we've done a lot better this month now, that the crude is hitting 1.8 million barrels per day, and that's good news for us. So we have plenty of market, and we just have to drill, like the United States of American president says.
Drill, baby.
NAPC drill, and drill more.
While NMPC is drilling and drilling more, we'll go on a very short break. When we return, your favorite program will be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souk Business Landscape.
At the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC, we are committed to driving sustainable growth and development across Africa through innovative training and research. Our mission, empowering leaders, policymakers, and professionals with the tools they need to create lasting change. With customized training, dynamic research programs, and study exchanges on leadership, management, and other critical development topics, ADSC offers a platform for exchanging cutting-edge ideas and global best practices. We provide comprehensive services in research and consultancy, capacity building and training, education programs, publishing and knowledge sharing. Our esteemed faculty, composed of seasoned experts and researchers, ensures a learning experience that is insightful and practical. We specialize in policy development, implementation strategies, and monitoring and evaluation. At ADSC, learning is engaging and enjoyable. Our unique methodology includes talks, interactive exercises, games, video screenings, and lively seminar discussions, all in a comfortable and friendly environment. For more information, email us at info@adstudiescenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website www.adstudiescenter.com to explore our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
On the 19th of August 2025, Paris will come alive with the prestigious People's Choice Governors Awards taking place at the Gauche Hotel, Paris. The prestigious People's Choice Governors Awards is designed to celebrate governors who have contributed immensely to their states in different countries across the world. If you are a governor who's gone above and beyond to deliver transformative projects in your state and country, then this award is for you. To partake of the Governor's Excellence Awards this year taking place in Paris, all you have to do is send an email to soupnexus.com with the words, "I accept," and we will get right back to you. You can also send a WhatsApp message to the WhatsApp number scrolling on your screen right now. You don't want to miss Paris for anything, and we are looking forward to celebrating you and your achievements this year. So contact Soup Nexus to make that happen.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souk Business Landscape. Welcome back. It's still Souk Business Landscape, and now let's talk what's happening with states and their external debt. Now, for Nigerian states spent 235.58 billion naira on external debt servicing in the first half of 2025. A 68.4% rise from 139.92 billion in the same period of 2024, driven largely by Naira devaluation. Federal deduction under the irrevocable standing payment order meant the repayments were taken directly from the monthly federal allocation. January saw the highest monthly outflow at 40.09 billion, over 305% higher than a year earlier, before stabilizing at 39.1 billion per month from April to June. Lagos led with 49.58 billion, followed by Rivers 26.34 billion, Kaduna 24.47 billion, Ogun 12.57 billion, and Edo 10.18 billion, together accounting for over half of all the repayments, while Jigawa, Benue, and Yobe recorded the smallest repayment. Each still saw year-on-year increases above 50%, underscoring nationwide strain. Economics warns the rising debt service costs could crowd out spending on essential services unless states boost internal generated revenue. Analysts highlight that high debt-to-revenue ratio, especially in states with low federal allocation, threaten fiscal stability and calls for intensified states to diversify revenue sources, improve tax collection, and consider alternative long-term debt structure to reduce reliance on costly foreign borrowing. Okay, let's bring this up to the table. The federal government's Debt Management Office and all, in their wisdom, have seen that a lot of states are not forthcoming in their external debt, and now they are taking the money directly from the federal allocation each month. Is that the best way to go?
Oh yes, that is it. So it makes you responsible. And I think it's quite innovative for government to have put a standing order to take straight from FAC whatever they are owing. Because, you see, we had a 3-day workshop on treaties, agreements, and protocol just last week. And one of the issues that was quite obvious from the Vienna Convention is that when states enter into liabilities with foreign nations, the states' names are not mentioned. It's the country's name that is indebted. So when you hear people talk about Nigerian debt, it's actually what the states are borrowing, plus what the federal government borrows, that constitutes the bulk of the foreign debts. And of course, you know that states are not supposed to be able to borrow, except they have the approval from the National Assembly to be able to take some loan. Now, they have to show that they have the capacity to be able to repay before they are allowed to borrow. But I think what Debt Management Office is doing is, of course, also realizing that the state has been earning so much money. Before they forget that they are owing someone, and then start to put money into some Bank of the North projects, we have to better take what their obligations are to their debtor on their behalf, so they can plan with what gets to them. I think that's the best way to instill discipline in the states. But I also think that the state themselves must also be responsible enough so that we don't keep accumulating debts that we don't even have the capacity to repay. So really looking inward to see where can we have investments that can produce resources. It's something that states must begin to look at. I keep using UAE as example. RTA is Dubai taxi and bus service. It's run so efficiently. They recruit drivers from everywhere in the world. And those RTA taxis that carry people around the environment in the UAE is making so much money. for the state. Just bus service. So states must begin to see areas where they can invest money and earn money internally rather than what someone has described as this filibuster type of federalism, where people have to go to Abuja every month to go and get something. So if you're doing a lot well, there are a lot of states that are endowed, unlike what Lagos and Niger is doing at the moment, trying to expound the base of internally generated revenue. And this works out for some of the states who have unique selling points in terms of what nature has given to them. They will be able to raise money internally rather than actually going outside to go take loan all the time. It's not bad to borrow, but when you're borrowing for the right reason, it makes a lot of sense.
Okay, borrowing for the right reason, it makes a lot of sense. But over years, we've seen states with politicians, let me be specific, go out there to take loans because they have access to getting those particular loans because of a connection somewhere or the other, knowing fully well that they can't pay back. Because just like Doc said, at the end of every month, they move to Abuja and collect an allocation. How do we get the federal government involved in vetting and making sure this kind of process stops completely?
I remember that fresh memory when jets were seized and we heard Nigeria was owing money, but later we heard it was a particular state that went to borrow money, and we remember that fresh.
Yeah, but Nigeria took the bad press first.
Just like Doc has always been saying, you hear what the first thing you hear is Nigeria is owing money before you now hear what particular state is owing that particular money. And I remember different governors, Governor Adeleke, the rest of them, they will come in and say, this is the amount that the state is owing, this is the amount I met here. So I like what Doc said, that if laws are being followed, due process are being followed, whereby each governor, for you to access any loan, you will go and defend it at the house. Every penny. Now, he mentioned something also about being able to generate something from your own state. Lagos is taking the lead. Is it the bus? They have their own car hailing service. They have their parks. They have so many things. Why can't other states emulate or come down to Lagos? They don't even need to come down. It's there. They are seeing it work. Revive the train service. It is safe, it's efficient, it will generate a whole lot of money. The port, the Barrow port was there for how long, how many years?
Nothing. 6 now.
Nothing came in. So, and some states just entirely depend on federal allocation. They are not doing anything. They just depend on what they are getting. And then we also have some states, let me not go into that, benefiting from what other states are benefiting from in terms of, let's not, it's political. We have some states say that they don't want this particular product, yet another state is generating a whole lot from that particular product.
Are you talking about alcohol?
Yes.
Good. Like just go there. Tax from alcohol is still being shared for everybody.
Yes, it's been shared. So I think each state needs to sit up and think of ways to generate money. It's not just, yes, when we pay our debts, it makes us credit worthy. But does that mean we should go and borrow more and keep borrowing and keep borrowing? I think if we can put a peg, if due process is followed, each governor, before you access any loan, you go and defend it. If you are borrowing money to invest in infrastructural project that will yield profit, yes. But if, well.
Okay, Doc, before we close this case, the borrowing institutions in the first place, why are they always fast to giving states money? Sometimes it's even after they've given the money, we get to hear about them.
No, borrowing institutions can give state money, especially when it has to do foreign debt. It has to first seek the National Assembly approval.
But most times we don't get to hear about these stories until they've concluded.
Yeah, but because the states have not been responsible enough to be in the eye of the storm most of the time, because Nigerians don't even think about their states and local government. And I think that is why the conversation that Mr. President is having all the time is important. that people must begin to look at what goes into their states and their local government. What is happening in their states and local government. You don't get to hear it. Until, for example, the election debate in Edo some 4 years ago, that we get to hear that our governor sought a loan from World Bank to do rice farm. And when he was asked a question in that debate, he said, oh, you know, you got into some business and they failed. And it was so tragic. And they failed.
But the loan was given.
The loan was given, but the project failed. The project. Casualize it. And because we didn't make much. So at the point that, of course, it's going to the National Assembly to go see that kind of support. You see, because party structure in Nigeria is so weak, I have always advocated that if you have a political culture that is developed, some of all this conversation can become really broad. The governor sponsors who goes to the House of Rep. Yes. Who goes to Senate. Who is in the House of Assembly. Now, the governor has this apparatus in his hands. And so what do? You just call one of your boys in the Senate and say to him, I need a loan. Push it through for me. He walks around the people around his environment. His caucus. And then he goes to tell them and said, oh God, look, please sign this thing for my governor. We need it, it's urgent. He's not going to get into public debates in the Senate. And then, of course, approval is given and the borrowing is happening. But if you have an opposition figure, for example, where people really do good politics and they see that the person from the central is a different political party from the person from the south, and then the debate comes, and then, of course, it raises opposition and says, look, our state don't need that loan. It will become a national discourse. But when you have all people who get into office and they become one straight party, the competitiveness or the competition is weak. So you're likely to get a yes vote in support of it. So these things are actually approved because no state in a federative unit can take a foreign loan without recourse to the National Assembly. And National Assembly has a responsibility to look at the documents we present to them, which is again a big problem. Even if it is brought into the committee of the House, we have 90 people, for example, in the Senate, 360 people in the House of Rep. Maybe the people that are from your state are just 19, they're a little minority. And if your broader political party umbrella is bigger in the Senate or in the House of Rep, chances are that you're going to find sympathy from your party men. And especially when you have a well-crafted proposal of how you want to spend the money. But I think we should also have something in our national law that says that after a certain level of time, for people who have taken certain facility to do a facility project, they should come back to the National Assembly to defend that the loan they took actually served the purpose. Otherwise, they should be tried for financial crime. And if that is done, a lot of states will not just walk up tomorrow and say to take a loan for any frivolous projects. They'll be sure because that, yes, we're defending it at the point of contracting the loan. Now, at the time the loan is expiring, we're able to show that actually the loan you took was actually used for the right purpose. And there are things on the ground to show for it. Otherwise, such a governor, barring his immunity or immunity, should be tried for financial crime.
Okay. But the question is, will they pass that law?
Because they're all party men. Trying the governor for financial law. What about this particular chain of thought? Is it possible we also say, let's have this particular policy where if you take a loan from the state before you leave, you must repay it? Or if you can't repay it, then you can't take a loan after 2-3 years of your stay, knowing fully well that you have just 1 year left.
I think I like the former. If you take a loan
before you leave,
you must pay it. And if you don't pay it, then we'll go back to Doc's recommendation. You'll be tried for financial crimes.
We'll go to our last story for today, and it has to do with agriculture. Sugar, that is where we are. Nigerian sugar imports surge amid low local output. That's a very sad one. Now, for those that grew up in Niger State, you remember there is a particular community called Basita. That used to be one of the major strongholds of sugar in this country. Nigerian sugar imports jumped 328% between 2020 and 2024, as local production stagnated at about 40,000 metric tons. Just 3% of the country's 1.7 million ton demand. I think we need to look at that again. 3% of 1.7 million ton demand. That is what we produce in that same period. Now, the shortfall has forced heavy reliance on foreign suppliers, despite the government's National Sugar Master Plan aimed at boosting domestic output. Industry players blame poor funding, lack of modern equipment, and weak farmer refinery links for the widening gap. They warn that unless urgent action is taken to strengthen local production, the import bill will keep rising, undermining food security and the economy. Okay, Olumide, let me start from you. Once upon a time, we produced almost all the sugar we needed in this country.
Yes, I remember that particular pack of sugar.
Which of them?
There's a household name.
There's a whole lot of them.
I think it's Blue.
Most of the Unicorn.
Yeah, it was a household name.
Union. Then they all disappeared and we now started having imports. Dangote also played in that particular. BU also played in that particular.
Yes.
In that particular sector. What exactly is happening? Because this is one industry we should not leave to those importing and those getting just free waiver and pushing this thing down, because the chain is large. The workforce is huge, and we are exporting all this. Within the period of 2020 and 2024, we're only able to do 3% of what we need. What is happening?
It's quite sad. First of all, I would recommend, since we're importing more, let's tax what is coming in order to...
If we tax what is coming in at this period now, people will pay more for the sugar.
Well, improve sugar farming.
Improve sugar farming.
Create low interest rates. Yes, when you look at the interest rate right now, it's not smiling for a lot of people, but these farmers, these local investors, these local manufacturers, they really need reform in that particular sector. And I think we also need to invest in mechanized planting, harvesting machines, and all that. Because it's quite sad that it's almost everything we import in this country, and yet somehow there's still a local manufacturing company that does this, but we seem to import more of it.
Okay, Doc. Our country, the land here is so blessed. From the middle belt, from the north all the way to the east. All you need to do is just to stick sugarcane sprout on the ground and it will grow.
Yeah.
But now, let's ask ourselves this basic question. Aside the farmers, 90% of the major players in the sugar sector used to be government. Is it government not being able to do government business that made all this to go down?
Yeah, I don't think so. I remember growing up when we do Miss Farming in our village. Plenty of sugar cane inside a farm. So people were very, very creative and working hard. The culture of hard work is weak, and that's a big problem. not many people want to get into, what do you call it, cane farming, sugar cane farming, and people just feel, even those ones you find, you still see they bring to Lagos, it's for consumption and not for processing. So these are the dimensions that you find around some of this conversation. But I think is you have opportunities, we must look for a way to take advantage of those opportunities. Our young people, because whether you like it or not, given the demographics of our population, where you have people, majority of the average of our population is 19 years. So which means you have more people between the age of 35 to 0 than you have from 36 up. And that huge chunk of the population, that's over 100 million, are sugar friendly. In short, if you go to some of our colleges, you'll see where our children are mixing beans with sugar. So the intake of sugar is massive. So it's growing in size because that's the demographics. When the people get to 35, 40, they are not conscious of sugar intake. So whether it's in cake, whether it's in biscuit, in short, I've seen people using sugar to cook yam.
Yes.
So all this is taking a toll on what you have. So the local demand can meet it even. So import is going to get higher and higher. I think it's just that you see it's an opportunity for Nigerians to look inward and see how can we harness this opportunity that's staring us in the face and make more money servicing that sector.
Okay. Doc, I'm coming back to you. Olumide, help me in this. Some years back, there was this particular policy that came from government, and it mandated that most manufacturing companies, majorly those that are producing syrup, those that are producing beverages, should go ahead and cultivate a lot of what they use for their substrate. So I remember Nigerian breweries then had opened a farm and it was working. At that particular period, it was working. But I don't know if it's still working now. Do you see those kind of policies coming back? Because we have a lot of drink companies, beverage companies, all of them, both those in the chocolate, those in, they all use imported sugar.
Quite sad.
Do you see if we have that kind of policy where the government can say, for every of this sector, at least 50% of your sugar must come from here? Is it workable? Is it doable?
It's doable. It's doable. It would create jobs. It would also develop that particular community. But then again, if you look at it, do we have land accessible?
Yes, we do.
In all states?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Because I remember very well then, Nigerian breweries came to Niger State to plant sorghum.
Okay.
And it was well functioning.
Then let's opt for that. If we can't do that, if there's land that is accessible, if we can create policies like that, I think that is one way to look at it if we're looking at reforming that part of the sugar sector. That's one of the solutions that can come in. But then again, implementing it is what matters. Implementations, there are so many policies we bring up, but implementation is what matters. And will it be favorable?
Will it be favorable? Okay, hold on to your thought. Doc, I know you are somehow a globalist, but me and you know that importation is quick business. You go import, make your profit hands off. Now we've seen that happen majorly in this particular sector for sugar. Can government look for a way of making importers look inwards? If you're government, will you make importers look inwards?
Well, I think those are part of the things that people are still having conversation around. The ease of doing business. And you have to cope with a whole lot. I was joking with children in church yesterday as I was teaching them on some issues that has to do with our everyday living. And I told them I was in class of economics in around 2001 at University of Lagos. And this very renowned professor, Professor Tomori, God bless his soul, one of the foremost economists in Nigeria, we're talking about development economics. And I was asking, and I said, Prof, I love all these postulations. I don't know if there's a way to factor in the African factor into some of this conversation. And he asked me and said, what is this African factor you're talking about? And I said, the witchcraft factor. And the prof laughed a moment and said, you're a very stupid boy. And I said, but I look stupid, but they are real. They are real. So, and I was giving personal example on things that I see happen, just to buttress my point. But they look at as metaphysical issues, but they are very huge issues in terms of investment. So I was telling them, in 2009, I started a business in Benin. I have to run away.
Why?
Because of these metaphysical issues. I ran away. What happened was that business wasn't doing well. A whole lot of losses was coming, and somebody seems to have been on top of that game. The machines are still there as we speak. We don't go back. So it looks as if we are all Englishmen. A friend of mine tried to plant, what's it called? Palm fruits the other day, only to wake up in the night and get to farm. All the things you have planted, grass cutter from nowhere has entered it and destroyed the whole things.
Wow.
And you will say, well, maybe these are real grasshoppers. So this conversation, Africans are not addressing it. And these are some of the challenges that you may not be able to understand, which is why there's a whole lot of discouragement in terms of farming.
But they can be addressed.
How do you address that?
How do you address it?
They can be addressed.
How do you address it?
As long as there's a cause, there has to be a solution.
Yeah.
So if the cause came from the African way, there has to be a solution the African way.
Yeah, but you see, it's difficult.
Which one? The cause or the solution?
The solution.
Okay.
Let me give you a very practical example. My father was a very good farmer. He was a young farmer. But he had a problem. He's late now, and he told me really at what point things happened to him. He was tapping palm wine, and he said he was using that thing to train his younger brother in school. Until the knife he was using to tap palm wine suddenly disappeared.
Wow.
And from that time till we were born and we grew up and left home, he can't find a liter of palm wine. He has a long barn like this. He can't keep the yam up to December. They are all burnt out. And he told me and said, I started to see this thing the day I found a coin in my barn. So there are a lot of things that we're not talking about as Africans. We are pretending over a lot of issues. And as long as we are pretending because we are wearing suit and tie, the issues will remain with us.
So where do we find the solutions?
We appease the gods.
Where do we find the solutions?
So
because we must plant sugarcane.
These are the things that you don't understand. It's not that people are not making efforts. People have made efforts. And this effort is seeing a lot of frustrations. And as these frustrations are coming to these people, you can't want them to continue to invest those money in there because they are real threats and high risk. So we look at risk from the point of view and say, well, we can explain it away because all of us went to Oxford and went to Cambridge. But we have forgotten that at a certain point in the life of these countries, they actually had to study witchcraft.
In advanced countries.
There was a full document in England on the study of the witches and witchcraft that even led to its worship right now, what people call Halloween.
Okay, so we have to find a way
whether you like it or not,
defeating all these obstacles.
Because it was in Europe. What we eventually call, for example, you see where people talk about the concept of witch hunting. Where did it come from? It came from Europe, where people were hunting witches in the streets of Switzerland and burning them alive because they were affecting development.
Okay.
And that happened before Reformation came, that transformed the society. And so we must understand that there's a mini point between spiritual and development. And if Africans don't pay attention to spirituality, it will take a long time for us to get off where we are at the moment.
I'd like to ask a question. Do you think this...
Are you speaking for me or for doctor?
I mean, I'm just throwing on the table. Do you think
can you please look at doctor directly?
Do you think this might also be creeping into the government? Because this is quite huge.
Okay, I want to say thank you very much for being part of the program today. Remember, this can only be on Souk Business Landscape. We want to see solutions, and whatever solutions you can profile, please don't keep quiet. If you have issues with productivity and you can't explain it, don't worry. I'll book you a one-on-one with doctor, and I promise you.
I'm not a native doctor.
I promise you, solutions are not far away. Remember, we must get productive. Nigeria must move forward. It's my responsibility, it's your responsibility. And also, don't forget, public service announcement. The meteorological agency said the rains are going to come back today to Wednesday, maybe to Friday. So please, make provisions and stay safe. My name is Chooks, John Roger Chooks. Thank you very much for being part of the program today.
It's been a pleasure staying with us on Souk Business Landscape. Like I always say, think Nigeria, be Nigeria. Nobody's coming to save us. It's just us that have to do the job.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you for being there. Opportunity staring us in the face here. Take advantage of it. You can be a better person. I'm looking forward to a great Nigeria in my lifetime. Osama Zaid Hausa is my name. Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Idris said he's going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souk Business Landscape.